I want this place destroyed, the dealer replied evenly. You want what? I gasped, making Boo jump away. Rampage winced. Oh, that can't be good. You heard me. I don't care about what you use it for right now, but I want this place gone when you're done. No more flux, no more fusion megaspells, no more hybrids. Nothing. I want this mistake reduced to a crater, he said with a wave of his hoof. And Discord? I asked with a frown. He laughed briefly. Discord. He can be buried along with the rest of this place. Discord was an enemy to Ponykind centuries back, and he will be our enemy today. The dealer looked down the catwalk. I think Red Eye's voices are clear now. They'll be coming in soon, if they're not here now. So, do you agree or not? I imagined that I could hear them too. The click-clacking hoofsteps of protector ponies, the rolling treads of sentries, the levitating talismans of Mr. Handies. Fine. You help? I'll destroy this place. I probably shouldn't have said the last bit aloud. What? Destroy what? Sanguine shouted, pink clouds splurting from his mouth and nostrils. I'll not see this place destroyed for any reason. Of course, P21 groaned. The mine was just a warm-up. Psycho-Shy gaped at me. You're insane. Rampage just fell back laughing. Oh, Luna, I fucking love you, Blackjack. And Boo blinked in confusion. I whirled on Sanguine. Your family or this place? Choose. If I was going to have to figure this out without him, then best find out now. I couldn't keep working with him like this, not with a worry that he could backstab me at any moment. His cloudy eyes popped as they looked at me and then out of the production, then back at me. My work, my family. Blackjack, I can't. Don't you understand? This place is the culmination of my entire life's work. Years of research and study. I can't just throw that all away. You're going to have to, I replied. Your family? Or this place, Sanguine? If your family really is all that matters to you, I'll help you save them. But for me to pull this off, I'm going to have to destroy this place so no pony can use it. Otherwise, you'd better just kill me now. I took a gamble, hoping he truly meant it, and I got ready to jump aside from a plume of pink poison. Sanguine closed his eyes and stepped away. He stood there for a few seconds, then nodded once. Very well, if you must. I let out my breath, surprised. I wasn't the only one either. Right, I turned to the dealer. So, how do I unseal Chimera? The access is inside Discord's chamber. To open it, you say, Project Chimera Containment Open. Password, a wonderful, wonderful thing. I finished for him, and was rewarded by his momentarily stunned expression. I tried not to act too smug as he recovered. Surprised? Apparently you don't need my help as much as I thought, he murmured. I stood at the edge of the catwalk and said the phrase in the password from the vision, and the massive pillar gave a massive groan and stutter. The mechanics squealed as it slowly ground open. 2 centuries of little to no maintenance hadn't done it any favors. The drawbridge slowly dropped down in front of me, revealing Discord. Or something that had once been Discord. The statue of the immense hybrid creature now appeared shrunken and crumpled. The serpentine body was now contorted into a spiral, his limbs twisted and pinched. The wrinkled silver casing had formed creases and spiny ridges. The expression of fear was now one of agony. The hoses that once connected to the walls had stretched and deformed, pinching off or becoming jagged wires. Only a few still resembled tubes. The interior of the chamber was warped and melted, the smooth surface forming countless spikes, all pointing in on the distorted form. The array of dark rainbow balefire eggs had been reduced to a flickering dozen. Instantly, my pip-buck began to click like mad from the magical radiation. Discord, I breathed, and the others backed away. Even the dealer looked horrified at the sight. The one and only, rasped a low, hollow voice. The internal failsafes went off. Sanguine gasped at the contents. And off, and off, and off, and off. Never enough to kill, but always enough to hurt. Discord laughed softly. It's been a while since I had any pony to talk to. So, fill me in. I've got 2 centuries of hoofball seasons to catch up on. Have the Canterlot Cavaliers finally won the playoffs? Are stripes still a fashion faux pas? Oh, and are all you people all a bunch of little monsters still? We just looked at each other as he laughed. I imagine you want to do something horrific to me, too. Why would you think that? I asked as I took a few cautious steps forward. Because that's what ponies do, he murmured in that pained, hollowed voice. To diamond dogs, to buffaloes, to dragons, griffins, minotaurs. Oh, I know you all look so cutesy-wootsy, but deep down you're all monsters. Turned me to stone, twice, locked me up, drilled into me. You have to admit that's a little excessive for a couple of bad jokes and some screwing around with some folks. He sighed. You make it rain chocolate milk once or twice and turn a few roads into soap, and suddenly you've crossed a line. You did more than that, Discord, Sanguine rasped as he stood and approached the statue. Your antics nearly overthrew the kingdom. You targeted Twilight and her friends, turned them against her. Honestly, I wasn't hearing the part about Discord throwing ponies through a rock crusher. Oh, yes. And Twilight and her friends didn't harm Equestria in the slightest, Discord drawled softly. You know, even at my absolute worst, I never killed any pony. Toyed with, manipulated, teased. Oh, yes. But kill? Very few things more boring than a corpse. The dealer looked at me and tugged his hat down over his features. I realized it was the exact same style as P21 I wore. I wondered if 8 or 9 generations removed, the bucks could possibly be related. The project's main interface is in there. I'll make sure your Pip-Buck connects straight to it. He then frowned at me. Remember, Blackjack. Crater. Yeah. I muttered as my vision began to scroll funky data. I started to hear a rhythmic banging in the direction of the disturbance. I looked at the terminal and the dial and buttons that Golden Blood manipulated. I gaped at the knob twisted all the way over. He 2 centuries in agony? I asked, gaping at the dial and then the crumpled statue. At once, I twisted it back to 0. I heard him let out a long groan of relief. I think I could summarize that as oopsie, Discord snickered. The more the metal resonates, the more flux one can slurp out of me. Of course, even I have my limits. What's with the fighting and all? You must feel better, though, Rampage said as she stared at the statue. Right. Murder, rape, and mass mayhem. Yawn. You know, eventually, even wanton slaughter and war gets boring. Not that it matters much. It won't be long before there's nothing left of me but metal. As Golden Blood intended, I suspect. A permanent end to a threat to the kingdom. Oh, so practical and useful, such a dull pony. Discord snickered sarcastically. How about you, True Blood? What do you think? What makes ponies do monstrous things? Losing the things we love tends to strip away reluctance, the ghoul murmured. Crimson beams flashed up on the catwalks towards us. One passed so close to my head that I felt the heat from it. Okay, Discord or Sanguine or... No, the robots were here. The Protectoponies clomped slowly and along the metal walkway towards us. And down below I caught signs of a sentry rolling through the pink fog. Intruders detected. Surrender yourselves immediately and face disintegration. My friends jumped into action, and Psychoshy snapped her wings once and launched herself into the air. The yellow Pegasus arced high along the domed ceiling, nipping behind the warning signs as 6 Protectoponies blasted away with her crimson beams. Then suddenly she dove and corkscrewed down at the robots, hooking up at the very end to smash the row of Protectoponies. Metal bits went flying as she circled back to the ceiling. Before the still functional robots could rise and resume attacking, Rampage was dancing on top of them, hooves flashing and blasting the machines to pieces. Then the sentry below began to spray the catwalk wildly with its Gatling gun. Persuasion thumped, and suddenly a section of the pink cloud geysered. A trail of Gatling fire swung wildly around as P-21 shook out the spent shell, calmly slapped a fresh grenade in the breech, clapped it shut, and patiently aimed once more. The spray chewed along the catwalk towards him. The grenade launcher poomphed once again, and lobbed the explosive in the perfect arc into the mist. The cloud geysered again, and the robot went silent. I looked around, but that seemed to be all of them. For the moment. But if that group had found their way in, and radioed it to others... I tapped the terminal a few times, then smacked the monitor with my hoof. The screen slowly glowed to life. Project Chimera primary interface. Project Chimera sealed per Equestrian Royal Command. I looked down at my pip-buck, and the arcane device mirrored the terminal. However, there was an additional box at the bottom of my pip-buck screen. Unseal Project Chimera per EC 1101 authority. Yes, no. I glanced at the dealer, then hit yes. More data flashed across my vision. Now that I had my pip-buck again, I had to admit that I was relieved to see these images. Reassuring to see the radiation meter crawling towards my EFS. Finally, the screen flashed up a number of menu options. I ignored the files and records and the like. Unlike Twilight, I had no interest in reading bajillions of pages of information. Instead, I went to facility status. The dealer suddenly frowned. Shit. Huh? What? I asked, looking at the not-so-figment of my imagination pony. Someone's accessing this place now that's unsealed, and somebody else is trying to cut off that access, he said with a scowl, his eyes staring off into space. You can interface with the facility? Your pip-buck is in command of every functional machine in this place's network now, so yeah. A diagram popped up in my vision, full of flashing green and red lights. Orange outlines kept trying to creep in the diagram. They had consumed the hexagon marked distribution and were spreading to the rest of the facility. A green line was wiggling in from the security hub. I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but he seemed to understand what it meant. I nodded. Okay. Your job is to cut off that outside access, then get us locked down and close the doors. Just don't blow the facility up till we're out of here. She says it so casually, Discord murmured. The dealer looked at me, then nodded. Blue lines radiated out from production, intercepting the orange and green intruding into the facility. They cut off the creeping orange lines and drove them back, stabbing into distribution. The green line snaked around, as if evading the dealer's efforts to push it out. I can't seal off the doors to distribution. Looks like they cut through the drive system to get them open. I can seal off the other sections, though, and activate what turrets I can. But they're trying to get in eventually. From throughout the facility came a distant booming of mechanized doors closing.